Hello everyone, welcome back to Game Brigade. My name is Brian, and today we are diving into Nemesis Retaliation by Awakened Realms. So thank you, Awakened Realms, for choosing me to cover this game for your latest Game Found project. So I'm going to be diving into this game. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts mostly about all of the new content and give you a little bit of opinion based on my thoughts based on the original versions and comparatively to what I think where Retaliation fits in this world and what I think might be the better one for you based on your gaming styles. So we're going to go into a few different things like the combat, the movement, the exploration, and give you those thoughts. But before we get there, let's talk what is Nemesis. Nemesis is a thematic space game where players take on the role of different types of heroes throughout the different games, where you are to be facing against these alien hordes or different types of alien creatures. They all have different types of special abilities and characteristics throughout the Nemesis line. So here we have these aliens, and these ones, this is the queen alien here, and we've got some different types of adults. These ones are hoarding creatures where they are going to be attacking you in massive amounts of waves, and the Marines that we have sent out are going to have to utilize their skills and tactics to eliminate these hordes before they are overwhelmed. To do so, players are going to be navigating this facility, which is a completely randomized facility. It's unknown to where things are going to be, where the specific items they might need to get are, and so they're going to have to explore and search through this labyrinth as they try to achieve their common goal. What is that common goal? Well, that's one of the new things that is changing with Nemesis Retaliation. Because you are a Marine unit, you will have a mission objective. That is your core objective as a unit to complete cooperatively. So this will be a little bit more in line with that cooperative feel. But each player will be given a objective card, 2 objective cards at the start of the game. One is to complete the primary mission goal of the team. That means you're going to be choosing the cooperative path and you're wishing to complete the game as a unit. But you also are going to have a potential side goal, maybe your own personal reasons as to why you're on this mission. And you could, in theory, decide to do your personal goal at some point in the game. We'll get to that later. So, in theory, though, we're all going here as a team to complete our mission. And the one that I drew was the reactor must be shut down and all basic room A's must be explored. So we need to explore the first room of the facility, and then from there we can then dive deeper into the facility because we need to shut down the reactor. That would be our cooperative goal going forward. Now I've kind of built out a map here a little bit to give an example of how this works, but we're going to go through a scenario here where a player, and I'm going to use my own action cards, but this would be a little different, is going to do a little bit of exploration. So in previous Nemesis, you would have the board or the ship already laid out in front of you. You could see the paths that are available. You might not know what the rooms are because some of the rooms were randomized, some of the rooms were known. But in this game, the rooms are completely randomized other than that they could be in sector A, B, C, or a randomized room. So we have this character right here. He's still at the landing zone. He's the only one who hasn't moved yet. So we're going to take our combat engineer and we're going to move. Just like in previous Nemesis, you're going to have your hand of 5 cards. And to do one of the basic actions, such as move, shoot, use items, it costs a single card from your hand. So we're going to play this card and discard it, and we're going to attempt to move down this hallway over here. So this is the beginning of the new portion of Nemesis Retaliation. This is part of the fun thing that I enjoy. They have a new exploration deck, which you will reveal the top card, and it's going to tell you exactly how you're going to build out this new facility. So first, this says place a question mark room tile. So we're going to grab the top question mark room tile and reveal it. Looks like we found the alarm room. We already have these 2 connection paths, but it's telling me I need to build 2 more paths down below. So we're going to grab 2 more of these random connector paths. These have numbers on them for noise rolling specifications. And it says, reminder, secure the room if you used move and secure. We did not do that. We chose that we didn't need that specific ability. I just lost my item. There it is. Let's put these back down here. So we now are going to move, and then it says make a noise roll as normal. So here are how the noise rolls work. In Nemesis Retaliation, all movement, doesn't matter if you are moving to another player, all movement creates noise, and based on the exploration card, it can tell you what type of things you're going to do. So we're going to roll a noise. Here we rolled a 3. We then reference these corridors and check to see if there are any 3s that are connecting. Luckily, there wasn't. There's a 1, 4, 2, and 2. But let's say, for example, we actually had rolled a 2. What you will do is you will check to see these corridors, and anywhere there's a 2, you would place a horde. Not a horde, a noise marker. Now let's say, for example, another 2 is rolled. If there is a noise marker there, you will remove the noise markers. You will reference the bag. You check here. So right now we're doing a horde roll. So we will do a bag development kind of thing where we're going to pull a chip from the bag. So for the first corridor, we would have rolled a adult and 3, which means 3 adults would spawn in this corridor. And then for the other corridor, we would draw somewhere in here a adult, 3 as well. So we'll get 3 more adults. I don't know if I have enough adults here, so we'll just put some drones for now. Here we go. So imagine those are adults. I just don't have enough adults for some reason. So that is the idea of how the hoarding aspect could occur, where these aliens can just swarm you. We also will notice in the middle of this room, it has a malfunction symbol. So this room is also malfunctioning. And I found the alarm room. So that's something I could activate and work with if I'm able to repair it. But in the meantime, I have some aliens that I need to deal with. So now let's convert into how the combat works in Nemesis Retaliation. There are 2 types of combat in this game. You have shoot and you have burst. Both of them are effectively similar, but the idea and the thematic idea behind them are a little different. Burst fire is where you're going to shoot at aliens in these corridors. The idea being your soldier is just going to be letting out all their ammo, shooting as much as they can to kill as many aliens as they can. And that is handled by the roll of the purple dice located here. This purple dice has different types of sides. It's got numbers. It also has an exclamation point. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then you just have standard 1+1, which I'm not sure why they have 1+1 and not just a 2. I'm not sure what the meaning behind that is. But we would roll. So for example, we're going to do a burst. So we roll the purple dice. We're going to be choosing this corridor. I rolled 3. That's actually really good. So what I do is I will kill 3 aliens in that corridor. So those are all dead. Let's replace these drones that I no longer want to represent. And we killed those 3 aliens that were in that hallway. But because we used burst, and we're going to use our drum rifle for this, by the way, I'd have to declare what weapon I want to use. The drum rifle has magazine, ammo magazines on them to represent the type, how much ammo we have left. Every time you do a burst, it's going to use a portion of your magazine. So I'm going to have to take this magazine and flip it over to show now that it is half used. So ammo is available. It's something that was not really available in previous Nemesises, where you were scarcity trying to find ammo or weapons to fight back. You are going into this conflict well armed. But depending on the type of engagement you do, you could be finding yourself in a situation where you're burning through ammo. Now, let's say, for example, there's an alien inside the room with me. We need to engage this alien as well, but because it's in the room and burst firing isn't going to work because it's a little bit more chaotic, we have to change the type of roll we do to a shoot roll. So we will also, these also require discarding cards, just so you know. Just because it's a standard action, you discard a card. So shooting is a little different. A little bit more complicated here than burst fire, which is just roll the dice, eliminate based on how many you do here. This one, your shot, based on the type of weapon you're doing, is going to be doing a base damage of 1. But the die roll you roll is the amount of health points that that alien currently has at the time you deal damage. So you're effectively actually wanting to roll lower. So what does that mean? Let's say I'm shooting here, I roll the dice. Well, luckily I got a headshot, so a headshot's an instant kill no matter what. But let's say I rolled a 3. Well, I deal a damage to the alien, and now it asks, is the 1 damage I dealt equal to or greater than this number? If it's not, the alien has not died. So I'll have to engage it on another turn, rolling again. This time I did a 4, putting another damage down. Now is 2 equal to or greater than 4? No. So you're going to keep going. So the aliens, and then here I got a headshot. So let's say though we rolled our next attack was a 3. So we're dealing another damage, and now we have 3 equal to or greater than 3. The answer is yes. So this alien would be defeated. But that took several turns, and that is something that could potentially happen as you're engaging these aliens. But the positive thing to note is that the weapons have unlimited ammo when you're using the shot. The only time a shot action, when you're using the shoot action, will dispense ammo is if you roll the red die that has the magazine icon on it. That will indicate that you have shot enough rounds through your ammo to actually have expended some ammo, and so you flip over your token to show that you have used that ammo. So it sounds like potentially, based on what you're doing, there is a chance you could burn ammo. Luckily, the game thought of that because you were smart Marines and you came prepared. You actually have a tactical belt that has items for you to include with you at the start of the round. So my officer here has decided to bring 2 extra magazines with him, as well as 2 extra oxygen tanks. The oxygen tank is another new element to Nemesis Retaliation that I love. What does that mean? Well, right now, all of our soldiers are currently all of our Marines, rather. Marines don't like being called soldiers. All of our Marines are currently in the A corridor. And up here at the top of the map is the life support system, which is currently deactivated. So that means our Marines are having to rely upon their personal air supply tanks to survive. There's no air naturally being generated in the facility until the power generator is repaired and turned on for air to be supplied. So that means at the end of each round or each turn a player takes, they're going to have to spin this dial here on their player board, reducing their internal oxygen of their tanks. So this is going to be a ticking time bomb, which is going to create an additional element for players to consider as they move through the facility, because you're going to have your air being a real problem. Now, luckily, the landing zone that we came in at will have additional supplies if you need to go back there. There's ammo, grenades, and air tanks available here as supplies lasts. And if you're able to find the robot, he does have some supplies attached to him, so you can utilize those and grab them from him. But the priority is for the players to work together cooperatively to get the facility back online, get the air supply going, so they don't have to burn their oxygen. So there we go. So we dealt with that alien in our room, but let's say we didn't deal with the alien. Let's say, for example, we were going to have to go through another event phase. So just like in the previous Nemesis, if this alien is in our room, we are going to go by through player order. Aliens are going to attack. We also have this character up here who has an alien with them. So you'll draw an intruder attack card. This is a scratch, and it shows, based on the type of alien that is in the room, how much damage you'll be taking. So my officer would be taking 2 damage here. There's multiple different types of cards based on the type of creature. If it's a drone, which is the largest of the non-queen variants, what they would do, or what the queen would do, for example. So those are things. And then you also have events that you're going to be triggering. The events are going to tell you which aliens move. So the first thing in the top right, it'll tell you any aliens that are hordes, so in the corridors, that are currently in 3, luckily there are none in 3, would move. So that's great. And then we are going to do the actual event phase. So this one is actually life support failure. You'll flip all active life support tokens back to the inactive side and place a malfunction token on the power generator. So it's actually going to make you getting more dire with your air situation, especially if you didn't take additional air with you. And then you'll place a noise marker on each open corridor without noise markers that is a path to the landing zone. So these noise markers will fill up again to make escape more complicated. So that's effectively kind of what a round would look like. We also have Onslaught, where these monsters from the corridors will move in on additional players. And then the players will take their turns again, continuing to do actions, exploration, diving deeper through the facility. So that is the core mechanics of this game to get so you are comfortable with the idea. But I want to dive deeper into individual thoughts regarding some of the key concepts of this game, so that you guys can understand like what is new and what is the most unique part of Retaliation versus the other Nemesis games. So the first thing I want to talk about regarding the thing, we've already kind of mentioned it, was the exploration phase. The searching through the facility, the diving deeper into the facility has probably been my most enjoyable aspect of this game. Maybe not, maybe that's a little bit too rhetorical. It is very, very highly thematic and very fun for me, I will say that. So again, when you explore these, drawing these cards, being able to explore, so this says A, B, or C. This situation would be a B, but we're actually going to be building another corridor off. So we still have potentials to find A's. So we put a B here, and another corridor we built off over here, and another corridor we built over here. So now we can keep searching into A territories if we wanted to. I love the idea that you are working through this labyrinth and you're not quite sure what you're going to find as you go deeper and deeper. It is very, very cool. I think the exploration cards also add a very good breadth of enjoyment. Now the deck is small and you will go through this entire deck as you explore the facility. But it doesn't seem like it's that bad. You just shuffle it up, and most of the cards are unique enough that it feels pretty good. In terms of the cons of that, in terms of this map construction, based on the way it's set right now, there are times where it can get a little wonky trying to get the pieces to connect together, or, you know, especially if you're adding something over here, it can move a bunch of stuff over here, so it just adds more fiddliness to setting the board up. But that's been pretty minor for the most part. The other aspects has been at times is knowing where a room might be. So for example, if we built this here and we have a room here, it was sometimes confusing to be like, is this an A room or a B room? Because it kind of splits the middle between the two. And if you flipped a card that says place an A, B, or C room based on the section you're in, it was kind of like, well, it's kind of like in the middle. So we weren't able to tell. So sometimes we would just go based off of our gut of what we felt like it should be. The idea is, the way I was told when I played this game with the publisher, is that if when you connect here, this is pretty much telling you if it's here, this is definitely a B room. But this is definitely connecting, and it's definitely still further over than this one. But now looking at it, that definitely looks like it should be a B room in hindsight. So that might have been us just not, you know, playing at a canted angle or whatever. But I will say that did come up a few times where it was like, what section are we in? Other than that, the idea, like our mission objective here could be to explore all A rooms, but the way the game is randomly decided by these exploration cards, it can become more complicated or difficult if you're getting a lot of question mark rooms as you're building out. Like here, I actually have several question mark rooms and we only have one A. So if this next room where this path goes off isn't an A and it happens to be another question mark room, I wonder at times, is it possible to build all the A's? Now we didn't run into that problem. This is just theorizing in my head that because of the way the game is already designed in a random setting, that could be an occurrence. But overall, I very, very much enjoyed the exploration and the feel that this gave. It really made the feel like you were exploring a facility that was completely unknown, and you had to really dive deeper into the facility to find the types of equipment or rooms you needed to keep going. So that was definitely a huge plus. The next thing I want to talk about then is the combat. We went through a round of combat through the different types of things, and I will tell you, based off my plays of both Nemesis Lockdown, and now Retaliation, this combat feels the most fun and engaging in the way that I personally want to play Nemesis. I love the idea of being able to have your ammo tokens available and to be able to engage the aliens and to feel like you're actually fighting back. Yet the aliens don't feel like they're weak because they spawn in such hoarding amounts. You know, here we had 6 aliens totally spawn on us. I wasn't able to engage all of them before they were able to come in on my room. And then the actual shooting action, while still effective, is not totally a guaranteed kill. It could take several turns of valuable actions that you don't necessarily always have. So I very, very much enjoyed the combat aspect. I felt like it was more inviting and enriching for me to experience that part of the game. Next, I want to talk more about the cooperative versus semi-cooperative aspects of Nemesis, or Retaliation. In the original Nemesis, at least, and I think in all the Nemesises versus this one, you would have a personal goal and a corporate goal. The idea being the company or the business that, you know, hires you or owns your facility, they have their own intention, but then you also have your personal goal if you want to take those. And usually one of them would be dealing with your opponents, you know, making sure player 2 doesn't survive. And if you are player 2, make sure that no one else survives. Things like that. Now, those are still present in this game. But because of the construction of the mission goal, I feel like it does lean easier into the cooperative aspect. So if you are a group that wants to enjoy more of the cooperative side of Nemesis, this definitely probably feels like the healthiest version of that, because you are all working together a common goal. The cooperative aspect in the other Nemesis, while not necessarily hindering other players, could still have counter options. Like you might have a player that is trying to go to Mars while another player is trying to go to Earth. So you are actually still working against each other. So here, this gives it actually a common goal. We're going to do that. But I also like the way they've changed the way you decide your goal in this game versus the previous Nemesis. So in previous Nemesis, as soon as the first alien showed up on the board, players would have to make a choice of which one they want to follow. Do you want to follow the corporate goal or your personal goal? Now, players actually can take advantage of action efficiency by deciding when they want to select it. And saving it for later in the game is probably better because you'll have more information and more things to do. But the way it works is you have your objective choice marker here. The first player to make the choice of what objective that they're going to follow, so let's say they're going to choose this one and discard this one, they're going to draw 4 cards from their hand. So this is going to refill their hand in that turn so that it can continually make more actions for this round. The second player to do that will draw 3 cards, and then from there, players 3 and 4 would only draw 2 cards. So it does reward players for choosing it early. I think it's an interesting concept. Of course, it might make a race to seeing who wants to declare their objective first. But I think that is counterintuitive, because if you do it in the first round, There might not be a lot of enemies to deal with. There might not be a lot of stuff for you to actually take advantage of those actions. So personally, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice by doing it early. But, you know, players are greedy, and sometimes that's what they want to do. So I enjoyed that aspect. Also, I'm not totally in love, personally, with some of the choices that are of the personal goals. Some of them are fine, like this one, all life support tokens must be inactive or removed. That actually does the exact same thing as perimeter clearing, which the reactor must be shut down. As soon as you shut down the reactor, it actually takes off all of the tokens. So these two work together. The team could be doing the primary goal, and you could choose to do the secondary goal. But some of them also don't make sense because, you know, I think of this unit as a Marine unit. This is a tight-knit group of Marines who are going out, and having them say, like, you know, all players except for you must die is so weird for me, as, you know, seeing a small tight group of people doing that. But it is also in the line of the story and the universe that has created from Nemesis. So that's just personal take on that, but I know a lot of people love it. A lot of people like the semi-cooperative action as well, where there could be a hidden traitor amongst you. There are situations, so in our last play, talking about hidden traitor, we were all cooperatively working together, but we had me way down here in the reactor. We had another player stuck in, just finished fighting the queen, and another player who was also fighting the queen had a lot of infections. The player who had the infections decided he was going to bug out and he wanted to get to the infirmary to get himself cleared, while I was still trying to complete the main objective down here in the bowels of the facility. So I didn't know if he had selected the cooperative agreement because he was personally looking to save himself and get to a cryo bed or get to, you know, the infirmary to check his wounds. So it gave me a sense of, is he betraying us right now? He wasn't. He's just selfish and wanted to survive. Luckily, the other player, the combat engineer, came and saved my butt down there in the reactor because I would not have survived on my own. But yeah, that sense of wonder of, is this person actually going to kill me, is still present in the game. So talking about the queen, since we just brought her up, let's introduce the queen and how she works in this game as well. The queen has been reworked. She is a little bit more deadly, I think. I also like the idea that she is going to be stalking you throughout the facility, and if you don't deal with her, she's just going to get tougher and tougher as she moves around. So the way the queen works is at some point you're going to spawn her. She'll appear, say, in a corridor, and you have the options of doing the same thing. You can burst fire her, which will deal an amount of wounds based on the die roll, or if she's in the room, you're going to have to just shoot her normally. The queen will also be dealing her damage based off the intruder attacks, but the way damage is dealt is a little different. So we have these cards. There's a selection, I think, of 9 cards, at least in our prototype. You'll be selecting 5 of them at random, face down. These cards will tell you how you're going to defeat the queen. The way it works is, let's say she starts in this corridor and we're going to be shooting at her. Let's move all this stuff away. So we roll our dice. We roll the 1+1. So we're going to be dealing 2 damage to the queen. We'll be putting those damage up here, actually, in the queen's wounds. And you reveal the top card of the queen deck, and it has a number up here. It's a 3, and it says if the value of this card is lower or equal to the number of queen's wounds, remove this card and all of the queen's wounds. Otherwise, shuffle the card's queen back. So it's saying basically, is this 3 equal to or lower than the wounds? It's not. So the queen survives. She flips this card, and we shuffle this deck up again. And now we're going to have to fight the queen again. So now let's say the queen moves in, she's on us. We have to do a normal shot. We actually dealt a damage, but it's expending some ammo. We then flip over the card again. Oh, we got the 3 again. But because we dealt a wound with the shot, and we have 3 and 3, we actually dealt some damage to the wound, or to the queen. The wound tokens go away. This card now gets discarded. Once all 4 or 5, so once these other 4 cards get discarded, that is when the queen officially dies. So she will stay on the board, so we could, retreat, and she can kind of follow us around the facility, causing chaos, adding her bag development, which is pretty bad if she stays on the board. It's a looming threat. But the nice and interesting thing, though, is if you deal with the queen, she's dealt with completely. So if you kill the queen, she's dead. She's no longer on the board. Her bag development actually does nothing. So if you pull a queen token from the bag and she's dead, you just got yourself a blank. It's great. You remove the token from the game and you keep going. So there are incentives for the players to engage the queen and risk themselves to remove her from the game, because the sooner you remove her, the easier the game is going to get. But I really, really enjoyed this aspect of the queen, and the way that it's still the randomization that is prevalent in Nemesis, but still feeling a little bit more controlled and easier to understand thematically. In terms of other new items, we have some extra things we've already talked about. You've got the life support system up here. You also have an anti-aircraft system. The way the game is going to be ending, the way you win this game, is you're going to have this token is your round marker. It's going to be ticking down, and it's ticking down to a lander icon. Now, this lander icon you can actually manipulate with your cards. You can have the lander token move up or down. But once this round token effectively meets the ship, that is when the lander, your ship, is going to return for a pickup. But if the anti-aircraft system is not disabled, if it's active, when that occurs, this lander is no longer available. It is destroyed, and you have to find an alternative way to escape, either through the hibernation chambers, or maybe there's an escape shuttle or something that you can take advantage of. So you're going to have to either find a room or shut down the reactor to deactivate the anti-aircraft. Let's say we didn't do that though. If this token does meet that token, you'll reach for the top anti-aircraft token, flip it over. It is active, so that would have ended it for us right there. So if that were to occur, we would have to go for, say, the hibernation room. Hibernation room, though, is also inactive, so we're going to have to figure out a way to turn that on and get the systems back online. But that does not work if you've done the reactor shutdown, because that will remove all the tokens, because you just removed everything from the game. So it's a very interesting puzzle that you're trying to figure out throughout the system, giving players a lot of different options and things to work with. So overall, I think I've gone over pretty much all of the game's offerings, some of the newer things where we've brought in and talked about. Some of the minor things, you now have access to a lot more items that you're going to be able to gain access to, but they've included this new backpack system. So the way that works is you can have unlimited amount of items in your backpack that you can have access to, but you can only use whatever is on the top. So here I have some items. I can only have access to this very top item. The thematic idea behind that is, as you go into your backpack, you have to grab what's on top. They don't want you digging through your backpack. But when you gain something new, you can actually reorganize your backpack and place things where you want. And actually, one of the actions on your bag is reorganize and trade. So if you want to reorganize your backpack, that is an option for you. So that's something you can play around with and play and have fun with. But yeah, overall, I think that is it with Nemesis. So what are my final thoughts regarding Nemesis as we wrap this up? So Nemesis in general, I've had issues with in the past in terms of the original version, which I have down here. I just sold my lockdown, which we covered in another video, where I felt Nemesis was plagued by a randomization trap that caused gameplay loops that weren't enjoyable. And what I mean by randomization traps is that Nemesis as a structure, as a whole system, is very much built on randomness. You have random noise rolls. You don't know what's going to happen. You've got random damage in terms of how much you're going to kill. Even here we have potentially random types of rooms. While it's not random because there's a set amount of cards, it's defining types of what rooms you're going to identify and the locations that they're going to connect to. There's a lot of randomness in Nemesis, which creates very thematic, fun feelings. I feel like Retaliation has honed it down to a point now where they figured it out and made the system work, where it's still giving you that extremely thematic feel, but gives the players the feeling that the game didn't just sweep them out from underneath them because of some random weird swings in the dice rolls or in the gameplay element. It still gives the players the opportunity to feel like they were an effective unit and part of this story. So I truly think that this Nemesis, of all of them, has been the most enjoyable for me so far. Now, the question came up of backwards compatibility and will we see that in the campaign? I don't know. Obviously, if we're going to be able to take these Nemesis characters or Nemesis aliens and bring them into Retaliation. I feel like based on the mechanic here of these corridors and the noise rolls, I don't see how they're going to do it. And I don't know if I necessarily, in hindsight, want them to do that. I think I would rather see them really focus on Retaliation and make this game the best standalone version of Nemesis it can be in its own world of the Marine unit. I know that I felt like when they brought in Lockdown into Nemesis, there was some cross-compatibility issues where some characters who were effective, worked well in Nemesis, had to be kind of nerfed or brought down into Lockdown as they tried to meld in different types of mechanics of those systems. So, originally I was very, very much wanting them to do some sort of cross compatibility, but as I've thought about it and I've played this game more and more, I think it would be very difficult to do that, and I would rather them just focus on really nailing down this system as in general, giving us potentially more characters to play with that have more unique gameplay styles. The characters already feel unique in the sense of what they do, which is great and positive. I love the new command feature that some of these cards have, especially the officer really leans heavily into the command, which means giving orders or enabling himself to pass orders along to other players who don't even have to be in the same room. Super cool. I just, overall, very, very impressed with what I have here. This is probably my favorite Nemesis so far. I'm looking forward to the campaign. I want to see what kind of stretch goals or type of other elements they're bringing into the system, because I think this is kind of the culmination of where I wanted Nemesis to be from the start. So that's it. This is my video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys for watching until the end. My name is Brian. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.